Who wants a pot of coffee? I just made coffee. You want a cup of coffee? Sure, there you go. Who wants coffee? Anybody else want coffee? Who wants coffee?
And now it's time for the man with the caffeine, the new tropics for the brain. It's Coffee with Mike. Hang in, hang tight, grab your cup, and let's get this thing started.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Java Chat. This is Coffee with Mike, and today I get to hang out with the Robert Foster. Gentleman's an entrepreneur, has been in the game for, I don't know, quite a while, a couple decades easily. I mean, man's been around the block a couple times, knows the ropes. I'd say that's a fair assessment, wouldn't you, Rob?
Yes, very fair.
So Robert is he's a motivational speaker. He's an entrepreneur. He's been an All-American athlete. This guy's been there, done that a couple times, and he has decided to shift over and help other people understand what it actually takes to make it, if you will. A lot of people think that there's a lot of rah-rah and stuff in the motivational speaking, and for some of it, yeah, but he's actually been there and done that. So I one, welcome, Rob. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me. And two, if you wouldn't mind, give us your background, man. Who's Robert Foster? Let's start there.
All right. Well, first, thank you for having me. I appreciate the invite.
Absolutely.
And I'm just an average, everyday guy.
Yes,
sure. That's just doing what he wants to do.
Yeah.
No, it's true. That's just doing what he wants to do. There's nothing really special about what I do, but how I took this path. I always had it. I was in a leadership position pretty much ever since elementary school, being captain of sports teams. And I started managing a small diner at 15. So
wow.
I was always in charge of people. I became a general manager at 20, and I was just doing that for about 15 to 20 years, I'd say. And that's where I really developed the skills I needed to become an entrepreneur and do my own business, because I dropped out of college. So, most people tell you if you don't have a college degree, you're pretty much doomed to flip burgers your entire life. And I believed that for a while. But then just the day came where I realized I don't want to do this anymore. Like I'm meant for more. I'm meant to do more, to have more, and to just serve more. And so I started following that path, and the universe opened up doors.
You started at 15?
Yes. Yeah, it was a small little mom and pop diner, but the owner had enough faith in me to, go home for a few hours and leave me in charge.
So that probably put a little bit of an interesting light on things for you as a 15-year-old. I mean, that had to have gotten you thinking about a couple of things, like, what in the world? I mean, what do I do now? Or because I think a lot of people misunderstand that. And I totally appreciate the whole thing about, you don't have a college degree, you're doomed to flipping burgers. Maybe. Both you and I know a lot of entrepreneurs that don't have degrees.
Yes.
and they have people that have degrees working for them now.
Yeah.
And it was more based on their keen insight and their leadership.
Yep. On
where to find talent and how to find talent and how to put together people, which is another skill that you don't learn in college. These are certain things that you learn over time by being emotionally intelligent and really observing people. So as you were doing this, like, I mean, I know that was the first time at 15, you became a GM at 20. What skills did you have to, were you forced to learn in order to become that leader that could do that? Even though it's a small mom and pop shop, it doesn't matter if you're leading one person or 1,000 people. Yeah. I think the skill sets need to be the same. What did you end up learning?
Well, it started in the home. So it started with my parents, more so my dad. Like, my dad was a very, very stern disciplinarian. And if he said, do XYZ, you did XYZ. You didn't question it. You didn't try to navigate around it. Like, you just did what you were told. So we always had respect for authority, which is huge, because some people that don't grow up in a two-family home or a home that's that structured, sometimes that piece is missing. Yeah. And then they end up struggling with that. So also, I'm the youngest of 7 kids.
Wow.
So being the youngest, and we were all athletes, all of us. So I went through probably my first decade being so-and-so's little brother. And and that drove me insane.
I'm sure it
drove me
did.
insane. And so I always had a chip on my shoulder. So like in order to get, I don't want to say attention because I'm not trying to make my parents look bad, but just trying to stand out and just become Robert Foster.
Right.
I don't want to be Monique's little brother, Ramona's little brother, Ralph's little brother. Like, it drove me insane. So you fast forward now, so that drive and energy to succeed was already present. So once I started in the restaurants, my thing is always, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. So I started out as a dishwasher, but I was watching the cooks.
Yeah.
I can do that. Watching the prep cook, I can do that. Watching the servers, I'm like, I don't want to, but
I can do that. I don't really like that one, but I can do that. Yeah,
but I can do it. And so I just started just dabbling in the other areas. Like, I didn't just stay as a dishwasher. When I wasn't busy, I would go over to the cooks. Hey, can you teach me how to do that? Hey, can you teach me how to do that? And then I just started getting proficient in every aspect of the restaurant. So once the boss started giving me more responsibilities, just the natural leadership ability just took over. But to answer the question directly, I did have to learn the communication piece, because being a 15-year-old overseeing people who are older, or even more so when I was 17, I went to a bigger restaurant and I was 17, managing 35-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds.
Yeah. Yeah, that can be a challenge.
Yeah, just trying to think you have to, talk tough and stern so that they'll take you seriously. Whereas in reality, I learned that I can get my point across by dialing it back some and not being so abrasive.
It's very interesting that you and I are both the youngest in our families. Now, I don't have as large a family as yours, but I was raised with two brothers.
Okay.
And it's interesting because the closest one to me is about 11 years away.
Wow.
So when they used to play football, I was the ball. Everybody thinks I kid on that too, and that's how I'm not kidding, guys. They used to pick me up and throw me to each other. It was like today I realized just exactly how dangerous that was. Back then, it was like wee.
Yeah.
But growing up with older brothers and not having the example of entrepreneurship or leadership, because neither one of them was. They were both. One was definitely a tradesman. He was an auto body and very good at it. I had actually almost considered going and playing in that realm because it looked like a lot of fun, seeing all the sparks fly and everything. And the other one just kind of did his own thing. I really don't know what he did. I didn't learn about entrepreneurship until I was well into my 30s.
Yep.
So, and then of course leadership and business etiquette and everything else that goes with it. It's a hell of a learning curve. But what you're saying is you had a hunger from early on, actually a curiosity and a hunger. You were curious, you saw it, you looked at it and was like, I can do that. I just think somebody needs to show me how to do it.
Yes.
And then picked it up. And then as you went through from 17 to 20, I mean, at the point of 20, you're managing, again, now you're general manager, managing other personalities. What kind of challenges did you face in that?
Again, mostly dealing with the older employees, people saying, oh, I've been in the kitchen longer than you've been alive. And, just dealing with that kind of stuff. But just over time, the work ethic won them over. So it's like, yeah, I might only be 20, but I know what I'm doing and I'm good at what I do. If you guys stop fighting me, follow my lead, we can turn this into a smooth flowing operation. And so that was where I learned, I call it the art of effective connection, because people, everyone always talks about effective communication, and you can be a good communicator, but be an awful connector.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It was like almost selling myself onto the older employees that, listen, I'm the right guy for this job. So if you just jump on the train, like the train's moving, you can either jump on or I'm going to have to find new passengers. Like, that's what it boils down to.
This engineer is easily ready to pull that pin. Not a problem.
Yep.
Yeah, it's. I agree. I've had times where I worked in corporate America as a mid-level manager, and I've had as many as 40, 50 people. And yeah, some of them are real tough. It doesn't matter how So in some cases, there are some people that are just absolutely resistant to management and authority, and I wonder how they even get their jobs in some cases. But for the most part, it's learning how to connect with them and let them
Yes.
know, I'm not your boss.
Hmm.
I'm your leader, but I'm not your boss, because I'm not
Yes.
just here to tell you what to do. For most part, you've been here longer than me. You kind of already know what to do. I'm just here to make sure that the guys above me don't come to bug you. Well, essentially, that's what a mid-level
Yeah.
manager is. It's like,
Hmm.
I'm here to make sure anybody with the title VP and up doesn't come and bug you,
Yep.
stays out of your way. So what did you need? That, I think, changes people's minds when they think that you're there to either work with them or serve them. Their mentality shifts. All of a
Yes.
sudden, they're a little more respectful of you because they know that you're not there to hurt them. You're there to try to help them.
Yeah.
Did
Just
that
like
did
even
that did that come over like a period of months, years, or?
I would say years, because at the end of the day, I was still a young kid, so still learning the ropes.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with my area director when I was 20. I was 23 or 24, one
Uh-huh.
one of those.
Uh-huh.
And he comes to me, sits me down. He's like, Robert. He's like, you are a phenomenal talent. He's like, out of all the managers, he's like, you're up there. You're up there in the top three. He's like, but your attitude is gonna lower your ceiling. he's like just the way you talk to people, because like I was kind of ruling with an iron fist, just like kind of how I said earlier that my dad was a strict disciplinarian,
Yeah.
and so most people tend to act how they were raised,
Sure.
and so like my dad didn't take any crap, so damn it, I wasn't either.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's how it was. But then,
Yeah.
like I said, after that, I probably can't tell you anything else that happened in 1994, but I'll never forget that meeting, because that meeting was where I started thinking, and that was where I really started shifting my ways and how I talk to people, and that's where I shifted to becoming a coach. Like I call myself a coach now. Even in the gym, like I don't say I'm a personal trainer or a fitness trainer. I'm like, I'm a coach. Like I'm a personal development coach that uses fitness.
That's awesome. And so after I'm the good run for the transition, you went from food and beverage into fitness,
Yes.
essentially, correct?
Yes.
That transfer, what 24, 25 is when you did that, or?
No, I was like you. It was in my early 30s.
Okay, gotcha. But and this was this really the beginning of your entrepreneur jump, or was that something that you'd always been involved in, or something you'd always been interested in, or?
Well, let me backtrack with a quick story.
Yeah.
So I was born in Queens, New York, but my parents moved us up here when I was little,
Mhm.
because my dad didn't want to raise seven of us in the inner city, so
Yeah.
he moved us up here to Rhode Island, rural area, house surrounded by trees. So I'm in the backyard this one day, and I have a stick in my hand,
Uh-huh.
and I'm just giving a motivational speech to the trees,
Love it.
right? And my
Did they
mom,
respond? Did they respond? That's the question. Did they respond?
honestly, the wind blowing, I took that as my ovation.
There you go. There you go. Perfect. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So,
Yes. That'll work.
so my mom is on the deck, and she's like, "Boy, what are you doing?" And then I look back and I said, "I'm motivating the masses." So it's like
Yep.
I always had it in my head then. I was 17 at that time. I had it in my head then that I wanted to be a speaker. And,
Yeah.
and as I said earlier, from even at that young age, I was used to running staff meetings, service meetings, being sports captain. So giving them the rah-rah
Yep.
speech, we got this game. And
Yep.
I just loved that feeling and the way people responded to me. So it was always in there.
Yeah.
But then, so I was going to school at the University of Rhode Island, but I was going for track and field. I really wasn't going for the education,
Yeah.
right? To be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I injured myself, had a bad knee injury, and I ended up getting depressed. And that's what led me to drop out of school the first time.
Gotcha.
I dropped out 3 times.
Wait.
And
you,
so
you third time's a charm. Is that what you're saying? That you had to? You had to.
I guess. Yep. So the second time I actually completed a full semester. I did well. I think I had a 3.4 GPA. So it's like I wasn't doing bad.
Right. Right.
And then I think I was just up in the air of what I wanted to do. So when I dropped out the last time, I said, either I'm going to do this or I'm just going to continue managing restaurants and just do that. So once I dropped out, I just had that stigma, you know, if you don't have a degree, you're not going anywhere. So I thought my ticket to financial freedom was to just work my way up the ladder in the restaurant. But then once I got to GM and then I was managing several of them at a time, I was like, this isn't it. Like, this is not what I was called to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was driving down to the restaurant this one day, and I had a panic attack, like on the interstate.
Oh.
I had to pull over to the side of the road.
I was gonna say that's not a good time to have one of those.
Yeah. I pulled over. I'm pouring in sweat. My heart is racing. Like I couldn't breathe. It was awful. But I was 32, 33, somewhere around there.
Wow.
And so I go back home. Like I call my boss and said, I'm not coming in. Like I feel like I'm having a heart attack. And so I go back home.
Absolutely.
And I turned my garage into a gym because like I don't have the handy jeans.
Yeah.
So like I wasn't fixing anything in there anyway. So but it honestly it started out as just an outlet. Like I just got sick of just the grind of the restaurant, like missing all my kids' events, you know, nights, weekends, holidays. I was just sick of it and I needed a positive outlet. Yeah. And then it just grew. It just grew organically.
As when you say it grew organically from there, I mean, what does that mean? Because is that where you just all of a sudden started noticing that there was, hey, fitness is a cool place to go hang out? I mean, not everybody thinks that way, obviously, but I mean, is that the progression or how did that work?
Well, back again when I was 17, when I was deciding what I was going to do in college. Now, my dad was an engineer, and I can't fault him because he was definitely right. But this was right. This is 1992, right when the computer boom was starting to happen, and he wanted me to go into computer engineering. And so, you know, that wouldn't have been a bad thing, especially now,
choice. Yeah,
right?
Yeah, wouldn't have been
but
a bad choice.
But I didn't want to. Like, I wanted to go into TV video production, and so then he kind of
which is also not a bad place to play still to this day.
Yes, exactly. But I said if I couldn't do either one of those, I said then I wouldn't mind managing a health club. At the time, I was thinking Bally's. Remember Bally's?
Yeah. I remember Bally's. Sure.
Yeah,
they were big.
Like, you know
they were huge.
Yeah, I was like, I want to be a manager at a Bally's. But like I said, I've been an athlete since I was 6, so it never really left me. Because even though I was in the restaurant, I was still coaching. I was coaching track. I coached basketball. I coached tennis. You know, so I was still involved in fitness on the side.
Sure.
Yeah. So when I say it grew organically, I started with one client. And then I got 3 more. Then I had 14. And then I had 35. And it grew to the point where city zoning came and knocked on my door.
I'm sorry, sir. You seem to have too many people having fun in here. We're gonna have to shut you down.
Yep.
Jeez. So at which point now, of course, somewhere in the midst of that organic growth, you had to have realized it's like, okay, this is turning into something different than I thought it was going to. I mean, when did that happen and what did you do?
All right, so this was in 2010, 2011.
Okay.
One of my clients comes in. At the time, I was only charging $50 a month for 3 classes a week because I didn't know any better. And so she comes up to me with her check for 50. She puts it out, and then she pulls it back again. She goes, before I give this to you, she said, I just want you to know something. She says, a brand new state-of-the-art Planet Fitness just opened 2 minutes from my house. She's like, they have treadmills, they have showers. You know, she went right down the list. She's like, but I'm willing to pay you 5 times the amount just because of your belief in me. So that's when I knew it was bigger than what I thought it was.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that she was willing to pay me 5 times to train in my dirty garage when there was a brand new state-of-the-art gym 2 minutes away from her. I was like, I'm on to something.
Yeah. At about that point, you're like, maybe I should sweep the floors. Maybe I should at least wipe down the equipment. I don't know. This is, I mean, 5 times the amount. I could get another can of Lysol. It's not a big deal.
so now when I say dirty, I'm not saying like that. I mean, I kept it as clean.
I know.
But at the end of the day, it's a garage.
It's the fun of poking. You know, just like
yes, this is true.
It's the fun of poking.
You in those rabbit holes.
Yes, it's a rabbit hole. I will run. It's so. All said and done. Fast forward to today.
Yep.
You're still a coach. You're a fitness coach.
Yep.
Do you still train at home, or what do you do? I mean, where has this brought you? What are you doing now?
No, so I have an actual business now. So then it was a hobby.
Yeah.
So I scaled it back because it actually grew. Like, I had hundreds of members,
Yeah.
but it got to the point to where it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun the way it was in the beginning.
You passed critical mass and you didn't even see it coming. That's fun. That's fun.
Yeah. So I scaled it back to where it's the happy place.
Good.
But when we were booming, I had a business coach,
Sure.
and I paid him $500 a month for 6 years.
Mhm.
So that's where I made up for not having a degree, because now in my coaching, I know we'll get there later. In my coaching, like I train people with bachelor's, master's, and PhDs.
Yep.
So people that have all the knowledge in the world, but they don't know how to package it up and get the most use out of it. So that's where that knowledge has taken me. But I ended up opening up a 5,000 square foot facility with the help
awesome.
of two business partners.
Awesome.
And then that relationship broke down, and then we ended up having to leave that location. But that was when I decided to scale down. Like, it just that whole thing. And my business coach warned me too. He's like, don't get partners. He's like, it never ends well.
Yeah.
And this one was ugly. It was like 18 months of just sheer ugliness, to the
Oh.
point to where I almost quit altogether.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it got so bad. But then me and my bounce back ability, I was like, I'm not going to let that happen. We're going to pivot. We're going to regroup. We're going to scale it down. But now I was like, so I've paid my business coach for 6 years.
Uh-huh.
I want to be on the other side of it now.
Yep.
Because in those 6 years, I learned a lot that I can give back.
Yep.
And, people say, oh, well, there's coaches everywhere. Like, yeah, there's people everywhere too, though.
Yeah.
It's 7 billion people out there. You only need a handful to be very successful.
Mm-hmm. That's the truth.
Yeah.
So the so much. It's funny that you say package, because there's a lot to unpack in that whole thing right there.
Yes.
The interesting thing that I've noticed about a lot of people that do have degrees, they're wonderfully intelligent, very bright, some of the best and brightest, and like you said, they don't know how to package it up. It's just all sitting there.
Yep.
They're like, no one. First off, college doesn't teach you how to do that. At least not the ones that I know of.
No, they don't.
They don't teach you how to package up your stuff. I mean, the most they'll do is give you some career guidance to get you in a door. I love the ones that our graduates get placed with certain blah 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 companies, and it's like, yeah, okay, they get placed there. How long do they last?
Yep.
Or how well do they do? What's their success rate in staying or growth or stuff like that? Because it's not everybody that gets in there and really thrives, because a lot of them don't know what they're doing.
Well, because they're indoctrinated for the workforce.
Yeah, that's
what
one
it boils
part.
down to.
That's definitely one part. I think the other part of it is that they're not really taught that there's more potential than that piece of paper.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're indoctrinated. Like, case in point, there's a local school here. It's a career and technical school.
Nice.
So this was just before COVID. I had reached out to them about speaking to their students.
Good.
She's like, okay, what do you want to talk about? So I went down the list, and I had included a part about how to make money with your cell phone. And so she says, all of that sounds great except the last part. And I was like, why? And she's like, oh, she's like, because we want them to either enter the workforce or to get further education.
That's the end goal of every education.
Yeah, and I said, okay, but what they should have the option to know that you can do more on your phone than just TikTok. It's like they have to know that there's other options.
Wait. You can do more than TikTok? What the hell? No one's told me any of this. What's going on? I need a coach.
But it's like, people fresh out of school, though, they really don't know. Like, people who get certified as a personal trainer, like, I let them know, I said, with all that knowledge you have, it's like, do you know you can make digital products and do more than just train? So while you're training in the gym, you can have products out there making money for you. Yep. And they're just like,
yeah. Because
that stuff is never taught.
No, it's never. The purpose of educational foundations or educational institutions is to sell education. They're not going to sell you life skills. They're not going to sell you business skills. They're going to sell you info. Well, how many other people do you and I know that do info products? Geez, I know 3 people that actually help other people set up educational products from their skill sets. it's a booming business. Info products have been booming since the 90s. In fact, even before the 90s, with all the guys that were in the real estate industry.
Yep.
I actually worked with a couple of them, and I just watched the natural transformation of things from infomercial to now it's online as info products.
Yeah.
It's been around forever, you guys. If you guys, for those of you that are watching or listening to this, understand, if you have a skill set that other people don't have, you have something to offer the world that somebody out there is going to buy.
Yep.
330 million people in this country. And you're telling me not one person is going to be interested in buying what you have in that noggin of yours. I'd be hard pressed to believe that.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, and what people don't realize too is you don't have to have millions upon millions of followers. Like if you have $1,000 product and you sell 10 of them per month, it's $120,000 a year.
There you go. and that's more than enough of a comfortable living to afford a home, afford a car, afford your groceries, and pay your bills.
Yep.
But most people, and again, like you said, most of the educational institutions don't want that being promoted. It was interesting. I did a talk here at the local college, the university, for the marketing association on campus. And I explained to them, I said, you guys are all going to come out and you guys are going to want to start your own agencies, and you're going to, and I got this like deer in the headlights look. The moment I said that, start your own agency, they all went, huh?
You're like, what?
I'm like, yeah, you don't want to start your own agency. Okay, so that means you want to come out and work for us. And they're like, well, yeah. It's like, okay, do you know what we want? And again, deer in the headlight look. And I'm like, I'm going to have to explain to you guys how this works. And after about an hour, I had to lift them all back up because I just saw heads dropping as I was talking about all the fun and challenges that we deal with as entrepreneurs and people that go out there and starting businesses, going, here's what comes when this happens, and here's what happens when that goes down. And they're just like, oh my gosh, this sounds horrible. It's like, yeah, and you get to be a part of it.
Yeah.
With a smile. You look at them and you go, and you get to be a part of it. And they're like, well, wait a minute. That's not what I signed up for. It's like, that's exactly what you signed up for. You just didn't know it.
True. The good thing is that it's easier now, though. I mean, the startup is tough. Like, I'll give you that.
Every startup is tough.
Definitely tough.
That's just normal.
But just the way technology is now, you can, like with you, two complete strangers, but yet technology connected us, and here we are.
Yeah, and you're still all the way on the East Coast, and I'm still all the way here on the West Coast.
Yep.
It's just a matter of do we want to chat, and what do we want to talk about, and the sharing of information, the sharing of knowledge between 2 people, 3 people, 20 people, depending on what it is that you're discussing, can further someone else who's not even a part of the discussion. That's one of the wonderful things about podcasting. That this podcasting thing's been bubbling under the surface for years.
Yeah.
I started this back in 2018 as just me talking.
Yep. I started mine the same way.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, okay, well, let's see what happens. And then all of a sudden, someone said, "Why don't you go interview some people?" Of course, my first thought was, okay, who?
I knew it.
Who am I going to talk to? Who want to talk to me? The hell does anybody want to talk to me about? And then, of course, it evolved into what it is today, and it's still evolving. Don't get me wrong; it's still growing and doing other things. We've had some wonderful guests on this show, and I'm going to say that as we've had nothing but wonderful guests on this show, because honestly, I've enjoyed every conversation I've had with everyone.
Me too. Yep.
And the idea of being able to let them speak to their passion and teach what it is they know. It inspires me to keep doing it, because I know somebody out there is going to go, yeah, I vibe with that person. I vibe with that whole thing right there. I get that. Yep. And all of a sudden they got a new follower. They get a new, podcast listener.
See, and that's the key. Because I had a couple other people in the fitness space on mine, and then I'd had people, inboxing me saying like, why are you promoting another fitness facility? It's like, because my style isn't for everyone.
Yeah.
It's not. So if I bring someone else on and maybe they come at it from a different angle, and that fits them better, it's like I'm still adding value to the world by putting this person in front of my audience.
You're still an expert in their mind, because now it's you that introduced them to that other person.
Yes.
They would have never found him otherwise. It's like, oh, I listen to Robert because he brings these other people on and they're cool. So he knows people. It almost goes back to being in Queens. Hey, I got a guy,
Yeah.
I got a guy.
Yeah.
You want to talk? I got a guy. I don't know if he's any good, but hey.
That's a solid accent.
Go back to The Sopranos. F do I know? Hey, it's I make an introduction, you figure it out. But honestly, that's a hell of a journey, dude. And where you're from to where you are, having been told, nah, you're not going to go very far without a degree, and still coming as far as you have. Your story is no longer unfamiliar, thankfully.
Yes.
But it's more than relevant in its own way, which is really awesome, because I love hearing that people can. I love hearing the old, my teacher told me I would never amount to anything. Hey, teach, look at me now. The more stories I hear like that, the more, and it's not against teachers. Please don't misunderstand. I love teachers. Teachers are exactly what we need, and we need more of them. We need the good ones, the ones that are unafraid to challenge kids and youth to think, and not what to think, but how to think. And they are important. But when they do something like that and they challenge somebody that actually has a hidden entrepreneurial spirit in them and wakes them up, I get excited.
Yes.
I get excited because it means that something is going to happen.
I was volunteering at one of the local boys and girls clubs. They were having an after school program for the special needs kids. The behavioral needs kids.
Yeah, sure.
And so I walk in the room, and it was myself, there was a police officer, and I don't remember what the third guy did. But the police officer, he starts talking to the group first. And the kids are having side conversations, and we went during lunchtime, so they're allowed to eat, but just they're messing with their food, and the officer's just talking, just talking away. Then the next guy goes, and same thing, he's talking. He was kind of monotone, didn't really bring much energy, so I can understand why the kids tuned him out.
Yep.
not to be rude, but I get it.
Someone's talking.
Yes. So when it was my turn to go, I looked at the director and I said, "Can I take this in a different direction?" She's like, "Yes." I said, "All right, I need all of you guys come to the center table." So there's a couple of them like, "I'm cool right here," right? I was like, "I didn't ask you if you're cool. So I need everybody here at this middle table." I said, "You guys have 3 professionals who came here in our spare time for you." It's like, and the way you just treated both of them is completely unacceptable. And then they were all like, they all perked right up. So it's like the kids want that structure, but if it's not given, then they're like, "Hey, cool, we're gonna do whatever."
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting to see the human condition and how rebellious it is until it's given a directive, or not necessarily an ultimatum either, but a directive.
Yep.
When they're very young. Obviously, both of us being parents, and me having read parenting books and how to get things in structure and stuff like that. And your dad having been the disciplinarian he was, when you see the youth being what's the word, untrained or undisciplined, and all of a sudden you inject some in there and watch them, like you said, whoa, where's this from?
Yep.
I used to do some speaking for a local elementary school for the music class, because I was a musician.
Yep. And
having been trained the way I was, I was classically trained, opera and all that kind of stuff. I'd go into this little class of kids, and I'd explain to them, different things. But the first thing I would always do is like, "What's the most powerful you can yell?" And I said, "Let's do that all together. 1, 2, 3, everybody yells." And I says, "All right, you guys ready?" And they said, "Yeah." And then I'd belt out one loud, "Ha!" And it would shock the whole room. And I'd look at that and go, "Was that as loud as you guys?" And they all sat there and they smiled and they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Do you know why it was like that?" And they said, "No, it's just because I have taken the time to practice breathing. And I've taken the time to practice discipline on my voice." And they all just sit there, and that was it. I'd have them.
Yeah.
From that point on, I didn't have to do anything else except that one thing. And then, and the teacher would always look at me at the end. He goes, "You do this every year, it never changes. You scare the shit out of them. It says, one, they're not expecting it. Two, it shows them just exactly how powerful they can be,
Yes.
because I get into that. And
Yep.
and it says, and third, it gets them to remember they're human.
Yes.
And as long as they're remembering they're human, they can remember that they can get better.
Yes. See,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Because in that same group, so I get there and the director warned me about one of the kids. He's just a rebel. He just, runs his mouth all the time. And so he didn't budge when I was schooling them during lunch. But then we broke off into different sections. We had different activities. So
Yeah.
I had requested him to be in mine. And all I did was I just spoke to him.
Yeah.
Right. I said, all right, so this kid's a rebel. What do most rebels have an issue with? Right. They have an issue with authority.
Yeah.
I said, so let me try to empower him. I was like, hey, do me a favor, like show him how to do what you just did.
Yeah.
And he went over and he showed them. He was respectful about it. So then we broke off into sports, and I covered the basketball one.
Yeah.
And so I told him, I was like, all right, but listen, I need you to be the captain of this team. All right, you get your team together and you guys be ready to play. And he went over there. All right, guys, you're gonna play guard. You're gonna and he just took the role and ran with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, see, I was like, you have to push people to where their power is.
Yep.
So if he's one that doesn't like being yelled at and whatever all the time, if that causes him to shut down, then you got to change how you interact with him.
Yep.
So just by me empowering him, he had a great afternoon that day.
Yeah. Well, and at that point too, his guard went down, and it was probably a lot easier to speak to him, and he
Yes.
probably responded a lot better too.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
he wasn't anything. I mean, in the very beginning, like I could see with his body language and stuff, but just like once I started talking to him and just allowing him to tell me, so what's going on with you? And he just started opening up more. And then
Yeah.
once he opened up, it was good. Instead of just saying he's one of the worst kids in here. Like that's
Yeah.
what he's used to hearing.
Yeah. And I think a lot of humans, whether it's a kid or an adult, I think
Yeah.
adults are just the same.
Yep.
And that goes back to that skill about connecting. Hey guys, we're going to take a quick 30-second pause, and we will be back. We're going to talk a little bit more about what motivates and what inspires and keeps Robert moving. So we'll be right back. 30 seconds. And we're back here at Java Chat, and Robert, good Lord, brain fart, Robert Foster. Robert Foster. Yep. No. I need more brain food. I'll have to go get another pill. So this section, we always talk about inspiration, motivation, what gets our guests moving. Obviously, Robert's had numerous times in his life, probably as you've heard in the first section, where he was motivated and both challenged positively and negatively. But that's in the past. So today, what moves you, man? What gets you up in the morning to really like charge at it?
One thing I talk about in almost all of my talks is about I had a cockatiel. I had several cockatiels, and then one of them passed away. And so the first two were hand fed. So hand fed.
Oh boy,
they're very sweet.
Yep.
They come to you. So the third one I got was raised in an aviary.
Oh boy.
So this one was not nice. This one
Nope.
was not friendly.
Nope.
And flying all over the place.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't deal with it. So I cornered her and I clipped her wings.
Ooh.
And that was one of the most painful things for me to watch.
Yeah.
Was to try to watch this bird fly and it couldn't fly.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And so what I tell people is that as humans, we do that to each other.
Yeah.
Kind of
we
like that teacher saying you'll never amount to anything. Or what happened to me 2009. I was competing in a track meet at the ripe old age of 34.
Nice.
And now I had my age bracket won in the high jump, but there was a 45-year-old that was still in. And
Wow.
just the way my competitive spirit is built, he had to go. So like I jumped and like I felt a tug in my left knee.
Uh-oh.
And so I missed, but he missed also.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? So I go over to my now ex. I was like, here, give me the tape. I said, let me tape it up. Let me take one more jump and, put this thing to rest. And so I go now, I plant, and then I saw white.
Oh, that'll do it.
When I came back up, when I came to, I was on the ground and my left kneecap was a third of the way up my quad.
Oh yeah.
So my patella tendon fully ruptured. All right, so we fast forward. I'm in the ER now, and the ER doctor comes in. He takes off the brace, and within a second, he's like, "Ooh, you're never gonna run or jump again."
Hey.
You know, now I had just started doing fitness. I just decided I wasn't gonna manage restaurants anymore, and I was like, and now I'm never gonna run or jump again. And I'm not the type of person that tries to prove other people wrong. I just try to prove myself right.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, he's saying people can't come back for this. Game on. And what was supposed to be an 18-month rehab, I got out in 4.
Nice.
So I mean, now I wasn't fully healed in 4,
No.
but I graduated from formal physical therapy.
Nice.
And so since then, I did 133 races. I started high jumping again in 2016. I've been undefeated since.
Nice.
So actually, there were no races last year, but so 2016, 17, 18, and 19, I was undefeated. And I coined the hashtag ignore the never. So part of my teachings, like a lot of people, whether they come to me for fitness, whether they come to me for business, they're at a point where they think they're stuck moving forward, trying to move forward.
Yep.
And so we've tried to figure out what their roadblocks are, and we tell them, hey, ignore the never. You know, it's like they told me I'd never run a jump again, and look at me now. At 46 years old, I can do a 50-inch box jump. You know,
really?
Yeah, and a lot of that is just from the mind. It's like we get into our own mind. You know, whether it's people clipped our wings or your significant other doesn't believe in what you want to do, no matter what that is. But what does it for me is watching people flip the switch. Like that's what keeps me going more than anything else. Like when they start with me and they're lost, in fitness, maybe they're at a plateau and their energy's low, but then they come in and they're looking for the heavier weights. They're walking upright. They got pep in their step, making friends. Like watching that, I'm like, that right there is why I do what I do.
Having the moment when you watch that person do that, what does that look like? You got any stories around that?
Yeah, it's honestly, they glow. Like people
Love
glow. So there's a woman, Monica. She's all over my marketing. So she's been with me since 2013. So 2014 or one of those. And so she came to me shortly after she had a baby, because I remember Frankie was in a car carrier, and I think Frankie's turning 8 now, I want to say. And so she was just having trouble shedding weight, and she comes to me after one of the classes, and she's like, Rob, she's like, I just having trouble dropping weight. Like the scale's just not budging. And my response was, because you're not committed to the process. And so I think I hurt her feelings, because like I didn't see her for a bit, maybe about 6 weeks or so. But when she came back, she was down. She was down about 15 pounds, but she came back with a different look about her, with a different attitude about her, with a different effort about her. And I was like, who is this? I was like, who is this one? What'd you do with Monica?
Yeah, right. Who are you? Where is she?
She's been on fire ever since.
And she obviously must have broken the plateau since then.
Yeah, she was down. She's lost over 30 pounds, and she's kept it off. Like no yo-yoing, no roller coaster. Like she just completely dialed in. That's
usually the big challenge, the yo-yo.
Yes. Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying about flipping the switch. Like anybody can catch motivation for a 6-week challenge, but she completely changed her lifestyle.
I'm thinking of all the memes. I was once a product of a 6-week challenge.
That's so true.
Oh my gosh. It's funny too, because that's like the big thing right now for new gyms and new trainers and stuff like that. Join my 6-week challenge and pay me $500 to do it.
Yeah.
What? No, I'll do it from my house. How's that sound? Give me 6 weeks that way. And then, and if I keep it off, we'll talk about me coming in and working with you some more. Yeah. I think a lot of people misunderstand the premise of, if you're going to do something and it's a 6-week challenge, you better be ready to commit to at least 3 times that amount.
Yep.
It's true. speak to that. I mean, it's obvious that I was in fitness too back in the day, but that was one thing. Anytime somebody would come to me, our contract was always for our contract was for 6 weeks. You come and see me once a week. You do your workouts. We go through your stuff. I give you some education on nutrition. I was certified nutrition at the time too.
Mhm.
And we would go through everything. And then right near the end, company wants us to re-up you, obviously,
Yep.
income, right?
Yeah.
And I'd look at them and go, what'd you learn? And if they couldn't repeat it, I said, I failed you. Don't sign up again.
Mm.
And they would look at me and go, but you're my trainer. I'm like, no, you haven't learned anything. It's like you sat there, you didn't listen to a word I said. I'm not effective for you. Go find another trainer. Boy, they signed up quick. And the second time around, they would remember stuff that I would share with them, and they'd come back. Hey, I was looking at this and I was doing that. And I was like, you heard me. Good. All right, go. Let's hit it.
Nice.
But it was always if you're going to commit to this, do not just commit for these 6 weeks. You're going to need to commit for life. I had one guy as a client. He was, at the time I was in my early 30s. He was in his mid to late 40s. He just wanted a little more energy so that when he played softball, he didn't tucker out running from home to first.
Mm.
And I told him, I said, we can do that. Yeah, I don't want to be big. I don't want to do this. I was like, no. I said, but what you are going to end up doing is a lot of boring shit because you need to train that heart. That's what you're telling me. You have a heart that's kind of gotten lazy. Oh, maybe. I'm like, maybe. I'll put you on this bike right now. I can tell you whether or not you are.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, and signed up. 6 weeks later, we were finishing up. I was like, I don't think you need me anymore. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. My fitness director's sitting right there, and he's getting mad because I'm not trying to re-up him. I'm looking at him going, he don't need me no more. And he says, why not? I says, how's it feel running around the bases? He goes, better. I said, are you struggling? He goes, no, I can run around the bases now. I says, was that your goal? Yeah. And the fitness director's sitting there going, damn it. Because he knows we accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. I said, yeah, you don't need me anymore. I think if people realize that they're, like you said, ignore the never, because that man could have ignored the never.
Yeah.
And just said, I'm just gonna have to deal with it and pray I make it to first. If people would realize that the never is a condition of thought.
Yes. Absolutely.
And if they condition that thought, the body will follow.
Yeah, like any type of challenge that I do now. I mean, in the beginning, I was on the whole bandwagon with the 21 days and the 6 weeks and all that, and it works. It's effective, but I switched it from worrying about weight loss in inches into establishing habits.
Yeah.
I was like, we're gonna bring you in for 4 weeks, and we're gonna work on getting your water right. We're gonna work on getting your steps up. We're gonna work on your meal prepping.
Yep.
So once we get all those habits in place, everything else you want will fall in line.
And that's the part that I think most people miss is when they go into something. And by the way, there are some fitness guys out there that do the challenge and they're doing what you're doing. There are a couple out there, but for the most part, they miss that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't teach a person to go. You can't just have somebody go out and teach them how to lift weights and expect them to have a better life. That's not how that works. You're setting them up for some chronic injuries, actually.
Yeah, that, and you're selling them on losing weight fast. Lose 20 pounds in the next six weeks and pay us like you said $500. Like,
isn't that the Hollywood diet though?
Pretty much. But it's like, a handful of people can. Like the very last challenge I did. One of the men in my group, he lost 21 pounds in 30 days.
Wow.
Like, some people can do it, but most don't.
Well,
but they sell on the one that does.
Yeah, and this is the guy we got to put into our marketing. He's a picture perfect. Meanwhile, the mini writing on the bottom, atypical results.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and nobody reads that stuff. I think being able to. And then I agree with you because seeing the smile on people's faces when we got people to that point, and I'm sure you get that today too, because now you're also a motivational coach and speaker in general for business too. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. People got to light up as well when you're talking. Somewhere along the lines, people in those audiences must look up and go, oh, I can do this.
Yes.
And I mean that's got to be a light up for you as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. It really is. It's amazing. Like people will start off with when they first start, they want light weights because they're afraid of getting hurt.
Sure.
As I said, this when they come in and they start looking for they're no longer looking for the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
now they're like, Rob, jump on my sled. Whereas the first time I jumped on their sled, they were like, no.
What are you
Now they're like,
doing?
and now
I
they're
don't
like,
want to
bring
die.
it. Exactly.
Oh, I
Yeah.
remember
Now they're
those
like,
days.
bring it. Yep.
Yeah. It was funny because my training partner was a young kid who had actually conquered cancer.
Oh, nice.
And he was the main nutritionist. That's all he did. He could be a personal trainer. He looked way better than I did. But we were training buddies. And boy, let me tell you, there were plenty of times where he'd look at me, hey, I want to try out this workout. Okay, what are we doing? And then he'd tell me, and I look at him and I go, you son of a, you roped me in. I can't do this. And he's like, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Somewhere along the line, my mind would just switch and go, screw it. Let's just get it done.
Yep.
And there were a couple of times I got him back, and it was a fun, friendly competition between the two of us as much as we worked out. But I was able to take that over to clients too. One of my clients, I think he was an engineer. Same story, and had the same name as me. I took him through my chest workout, and he had never done that before. And his wife came to me, I think like a couple days later. She goes, he came home ranting about your workout.
Nice.
I said, what do you mean? She goes, he couldn't believe that you actually invited him to join you. And I was like, why not? She goes, because you're a trainer. I'm like, that's the problem right there. I'm just a trainer. He's the one working. So when you're in your speaking mode, what are you telling people? I mean, I got the hashtag here, and we're definitely going to put that in there. Ignore the never. But what do you walk them through? I mean, how do you get them to see that ignore the never? And like you got that thing behind you, shut up and grind. Give us an idea of where this.
That's the name of my podcast.
Yeah, that's the name of the pop. See, there's another thing we need to talk about. But like, what do you tell people? Where does it go? How do you present it?
Well, I always start if I'm working with a coaching client, or even if I'm given a keynote virtual, I always start with the pain assessment. It's like where are you currently? Because most people get that wrong. Yeah. And if you don't nail that with 100% brutal honesty, nothing else is going to fall in line the way it needs to. Like I was talking with one of my personal training clients right before I came back home, and talking about how people who are content don't change because they're content.
That's right.
So I dig deep into that. I call it my pain assessment to find out why are you listening to this? Like you're listening to this for a reason, or you're on my coaching call for a reason. What are those reasons? And then we break them down, and then we go through each one. How does this make you feel? How does this make you feel? And we get right down the list. Okay, how long do you want to keep feeling like that? So it's like, what is it worth to you to move away from feeling like that? And then we just put the steps in place. So I have a 7-step process, and it's not just, a cookie cutter process. It's tailored to whatever the theme is that we're speaking to, but the process itself, it's unfailable if you go through it 100%.
And if somebody wants to find, obviously, if you want to find Rob, he's got a website. We'll have all of those links down below that you guys can follow and go connect with him on social, on his website, wherever. But the more we talk, obviously, the more interesting this is getting. What would be your crowning not achievement, but your crowning moment when speaking to a group where you another story, if you would share with us when you see people do that switch? Because I watched a couple of videos on your landing page, and you've been in a few group settings.
Yes.
So I'm curious as to see which one sticks out in your memory the most, and what happened.
We were doing a challenge at the gym, and I believe I had 40 or so women. Like I work with mostly women, and
40?
This was
Good
yeah.
Lord.
So this was the first time where I had each one come up in front of the group
Mm-hmm.
and air out why they were there. Because
Wow.
as I just said, accepting that is the first step.
Yeah.
And with a lot of women, they're afraid to put themselves out there like that.
Vulnerability is rough for women. I've noticed that.
Yes.
That's very much so. Yeah.
Yes. And so I would have them come up, but just the amount of tears that were
Oh, yeah.
flowing in that. And it was such a powerful thing. And then I had this one woman, she was on the bigger side, like she didn't really want to do it, but everyone else came together and encouraged her to get up and do it. So it's like I started it, but then they all banded together. One of the two of the girls went up with her. They had their arms around her while she was sharing, and like she just broke down. But just watching the way everyone came together like that was amazing.
Isn't it interesting when there is a common aim, how well humans can stick together
Yes.
and support?
Yep. It's so true.
I don't know if, and we're in a real interesting time in this country
Yes.
where we're not seeing a lot of that. I shouldn't say it that way. We do see it, but we're seeing it divided. We're seeing it very compartmentalized.
That's how the media is displaying it.
Yeah, and then what's funny is that you have moments like what you just discussed. They're happening daily.
Yep.
And they're happening in a manner, just like you said, people that have a common aim. And I honestly believe that every human has a common aim.
Yes.
To live a good life in peace.
Yep.
Yes, there's perturbation, there's self-growth and all of that kind of stuff, but for the most part, people just want to be left alone, or people just want to be happy. Yep. And the way they get there is different from person to person.
It's true.
I can completely appreciate what you did there. I didn't actually have group sessions with anybody as a trainer. I was always one-to-one. Yeah. But I would have those moments, either on the first section when I was talking to them about hiring me, or on the end when I look at them and I go, all right, what'd you learn? How do you feel? What's new? What's next? And if they didn't have a definitive answer, I'd look at them and go, we still need to go. And they would make the decision. And in a lot of cases when I was effective, I think I'm good. Awesome. Great working with you. I got another appointment coming in. Go kill it. And they knew it was meant in a fashion of, we're not going to be emotionally connected, but we're already connected.
Yes.
So if you need me, you know where I'm at. Until then, get out of here. Get out of here and go kick some ass. And they loved that. They were just like, yeah, it was, you always encouraged. Or I had clients coming to the gym all the time, but former clients. And I'd look at them and I'd be like, I'd give them the fist pump and they'd look at me. They're like, yeah. I'm like, all right, cool. And just keep going. It's interesting to see how little it takes to get a human to shift their thinking. It could be just something as simple as a point, a thumbs up, fist bump, anything.
Yep. The latest thing I'm working on now, it's a program I call Speak About Yourself Out Loud.
Nice.
And what that is, it's taking your personal experiences and packaging them into powerful stories.
Sweet.
And how I came up with that, I knew I wanted to do something with being a speaker coach, but I didn't want to just be another speaker coach. So I was like, I need an angle. So when COVID hit and forced my gym to close, I started joining other groups. That was when I really went full force with the podcast. And I just started joining other groups about, cross promoting and everything else.
Sure.
And so you join these groups and it's like, all right, Jane from New Zealand, tell us about yourself. Hi, I'm Jane, and I do web design, and so I'm sitting here.
I'm
Yes.
blah blah. I'm blah blah blah.
Yep. So I'm sitting here taking notes, and so like they just kept calling on people and I'm listening. I'm like, I'm gonna knock their socks off. And so it was my turn to go, and absolutely, I did my thing.
Yeah.
And I had 20 people from that group inbox me right afterwards, like, can you help me? Like, can you help me package my story? And I was like, you know what? I think that might be the niche
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Right there. So
That's a definite niche. You're not kidding.
yeah, like I just launched it. I just got my first coaching client. She has a PhD in psychology out of Colorado.
Oh, they're the most fun.
Yeah.
Because while you're coaching them, they're assessing
coaching
you.
Yep. Yeah, but that
Sorry,
goes
did you hire me? I mean, yeah.
It's like, and that goes back to my point about being a college dropout, but yet I'm mentoring people with masters and PhDs. And the thing about it is like she wants to start a podcast. She started it. She has software. She has a couple episodes, but then she stalled. And within the first 3 minutes of talking to her, I already knew what the problem was. And it's her messaging isn't clear. Like she's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like sometimes people are so smart that they're overlooking the powerful little things that come out of their mouth.
Yep.
It's because, they're talking in all the big words. And hence the speak about yourself.
Yeah.
That's why that's the title. So it's like when you were talking to me about going to school, slow it down.
Yeah.
Slow it down. What was the process like? What were you thinking? What were you feeling? I say, because now the listeners are going to connect with you more.
And that's
what
matters.
Like if I just came up and said, hi, my name is Rob Foster. I had a bad knee injury. I fought back from it. I did a bunch of races and now I'm an entrepreneur. No one's going to care about that.
Yay,
but,
good for you.
But when you slow it down and you break it down, you can pull people right into the conversation. And that's what leads to effective connection.
Yeah, we're literally redoing branding for Oasis right now, my agency.
Okay.
To change it over to M3 Media. And M3 Media is basically it's a musician to marketer.
Okay.
Because that's what I did for 15 years. I was a professional musician. I played 7 days a week, sometimes 2 gigs a day.
Yeah.
And as fun as that was, it was also boring. and the only reason I say that is because I didn't do shit. I mean, my 2 questions every day was, do I go to my bud's house to go play music or do I go to the beach? Those are my life questions. If you want to know what boring life is, that's a boring life.
Gotcha.
Now it's like, okay, who can I inspire today? What do I do? How do I make this story work? How do I get that moving? How do I, everything switch.
Yep.
Much better motivation to wake up in the morning and get in gear. So that's a cool program. So you just launched it. Do you already have is it posted someplace that people can see it that we can put in the comments, or do they just need to reach out to you?
Yeah, just on my regular website, robertbfoster.com/speaker.
There you go.
But,
all right.
But I am having a separate website created just for that. Sweet. So right now I'm just soft launching because it's just me. So I'm a one-man band. I did hire an assistant, but she's not ready to start yet. So once she starts, I'll probably get more marketing out there, but I don't want to bury myself in the short term.
Find some interns.
Yeah.
We have a wonderful team of interns. I've got I think 5 or 6 of them right now. They'll work on different projects. Dude, they're bright and they're organized and they're hustlers, and it's like, and I'm like super proud of them. I wish I could bring each one of them on this and just talk. That's not a bad idea. I might have to interview them. We'll have to see that.
Yeah, do a panel.
Well, yeah, maybe I'll do a panel too. That's going to scare the tar out of every one of them because they all are listening to this. They have to listen to it before. So, yes, you're coming on the podcast.
They're in the back like, why is he talking?
He's talking about us? Yes, I'm talking about you. You will be on the podcast sometime before this year is over.
Nice.
Or before the internship is finished. I think that's probably a very noted and needed. I mean, even with the change on M3, it took a friend of mine's who works as a marketer in fintech and blockchain, completely unrelated to what I do. And he sat down and he goes, I think you need to do this. And I looked at him and I went, God, 101. Thank you. Appreciate it. He's like, yeah, you're busy. It's okay. Friends can coach friends. It's okay. It happens. Cool. We're going to take another 30-second break. When we come back, we're going to talk about we kind of heard about what's one of the things that's next, but we're going to find the rest we're going to find out the rest here in a minute. I want to talk a little bit about your podcast.
Okay.
And some other plans that you got going. So next 30 seconds and we'll be right. And we're back here, Java Chat. God, that sounds so Lounge Lizard. Hey. We're back here, Java Chat, Coffee with Mike here with Robert Foster, chatting about things that motivate. We were just kind of talking about a new program that Rob's launching. He's kind of soft launched it already. And he's going to be, I'm sure there's a bunch of other things. I mean, that's the newest. What other things are in play right now? Obviously, you still do the fitness coaching. Is that mostly there in Rhode Island, or is that something that's virtual as well? How does that work?
Yeah, it's both. So the classes I do in person, I stream them.
Awesome.
Virtually also, like live via Zoom. Like I don't record them and put them out there. Like it's live.
Sweet.
So even though you're in your living room, you're still getting live coaching.
That's awesome. What do you think? Here's a quick question. You seen that new thing called a mirror?
Yes.
The fitness mirror. What do you think about that stuff?
I'm not sure. I mean, there's always going to be gadgets that come up, but there's nothing that can replace the face-to-face for the people that need that.
And that's what I'm thinking, is that AI hasn't gotten far along enough to really do that interaction.
Exactly.
That part where you have somebody actually going, what are you feeling? How you doing? Because the thing can ask you, it ain't going to hear you when you talk.
Exactly. And it's not going to connect with you.
No, it's not. It's not.
That's the thing.
I don't get me wrong. Fitness equipment is great. And if there's something there that can give you a program that you can work through, that you're all right, that's cool.
Yeah.
But if you're somebody that's like in need of some support, because that's really what trainers and coaches do. They support you.
That stuff is good for introverts. You know, like if you're an extrovert, you want that group environment.
Agreed.
If you're someone who kind of knows what they're doing and you don't want to be around groups, that stuff is for you.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And actually, I know even extroverts though that would use these things because they just don't have the time. So I think those are more for convenience than because it's like I can't go to the gym. Okay, I'll just work out with that.
Like one of my clients, when I tell you she has a full gym in her basement, because like I saw this from doing the virtuals.
Wow.
You know, I was like, Heather, like you have quite the setup over there. I was like, she's like, yeah, but I don't have you here. so the people with the groups,
gym's not quite complete.
You know, so like those people are the ones, because I tell people anyway, I'm like, you don't pay me for the workout. Like your fee actually comes for the accountability.
Yeah,
it's like you can go to the gym, but you're gonna stop when it burns.
Yep.
I'm gonna teach you to push through that burn.
Yeah,
I said that's where you're getting the return on your investment. Whereas you'll run for a minute and then start walking when you're by yourself. With me, I'm gonna make sure you run the entire loop.
I will never hire you. Anyway, if I want to walk, damn it, I'm walking.
Well, you see the slogan.
I'll grind. Don't you worry.
It's funny.
It's no, I'm kidding. I could probably use a coach actually. I think okay, so people can find you online. They can find you at robertfoster.com. They can find you on social, obviously, correct?
Yeah. Yes, I'm on all the channels.
All the channels. Do you have a group?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, cool.
I have a Facebook group too.
Awesome. We'll make sure to get that up there. And then, what other things are you working on? I mean, what other things entrepreneurs are famous for like throwing a million irons in the fire to let them heat up. But I mean, like, what's the future look like for you? Where are you at?
So how this started? So 10 years ago, do you remember Blog Talk Radio?
Well, of course.
Yeah. So I started on that. And the title of my show was Shut Up and Exercise. So that just pigeonholed me to exercise.
Yeah.
And what I wanted something that could be wider.
Yeah, of course.
Wider. So, and I'm all about niching, but, or the understanding that the more niche you are, the more valuable you are. Like,
sure.
I get that.
Yep.
But at the same token, I march to my own beat.
Right.
So,
right.
So I switched it to Shut Up and Grind because I can attribute that to any industry.
Yeah, you can.
So with this one branding, I can like my opportunities are endless.
Yeah.
So for right now, I'm actually starting with gyms. So teaching personal trainers who have a lot of knowledge, they get out of personal trainer school, they get their first job, and they immediately get put into a box.
Oh yeah.
And they're gonna tell you, you need this much experience, you need this, you need that, and then maybe after all that, you'll earn $50,000. Whereas, like, I'm gonna say no, I'm gonna help you take that knowledge and maybe start a podcast, maybe start a blog, maybe start a YouTube channel, and just help them see that their internal life experiences can earn them money while they're working with clients.
There's two guys on TikTok right now that I follow that are both in amazing shape. Obviously, they're ectomorphs, both of them. So hardly any fat on their body, blah blah blah. These guys are fucking killing it. They're making money. And they're making money off of their views for one, and then they're making money off of sponsorships because everybody wants to look like them. I being 49 know for a fact I will not look like them because they're in their 20s for one, and I'm an endomeso. I don't get to look like them, and that's okay. I'm all right with that. I can still do what I do, and I can actually still work out like they do. I just won't ever look like that, and that's okay. I'm cool with it. I just like the fact that I can actually keep up. I had a young one with me one time go into the gym, and we did a hit session. She was huffing and puffing at the end of the whole deal, and she looks at me and she goes, "How are you not breathing heavy?" It's like, I was during the workout. And she goes, "But you're not breathing heavy now." I'm like, because I was breathing heavy during the workout. I was getting my oxygen while we were working out. I'm not waiting to get my oxygen after. I'd be dead by now. So yeah, I get it. That's awesome.
I just want to piggyback on something you just said.
Yeah.
Because in working with females, I find a lot of them compare themselves to each other.
Yeah.
And I tell them we're gonna find your strong.
Yeah.
Okay, your strong is gonna be different than someone else's strong. Like if you look at me, I'm small framed.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not built for huge, massive muscles.
Yeah.
But I got endurance for days, and I got hops for days, and I got speed for days.
Yep.
So it's like that's my strength. So if I look at we have a trainer in our gym, he's just a walking sack of muscles, and he can deadlift probably 550 plus.
Yeah.
And so if I judge my abilities based on my trying to deadlift 500 pounds, I'm gonna stress myself out. Yeah. So it's like, all right, that's your power. Like this is my power.
Do you
I think that's one of the I think that's one of the biggest things that I help my female clients understand, that you don't have to look like her or be fast like her. You can pick up heavy shit and do it like a boss.
Yep, of course. What was that old saying? You can't put the same standards on a bird that you put on a fish. The fish will think it's stupid.
Yes.
If you do. But put the fish in the water, and that some bitch is rolling.
Yep.
That's the part they never say. I always like to say that last part. That some bitch is rolling because he's hydrodynamic.
No, that was a solid spin on it.
That. Well, and you're absolutely right. Some people may be strong, some people may be fast, some people may be a mixture of others. You're strong, and this goes for entrepreneurship too. Some people may be brilliant. Some people might be natural marketers. Some people might be natural logisticians. What is your strong? Where your strong is, you go play, and you find other people that are they're strong where you're not. And we both know, all of the big motivational speakers always say that. Surround yourself with smart people.
Yeah.
Why not? What have you got to lose? Nothing. What have you got to gain? A big piece of the market if you do it right.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how you perceive, and then two, like you got behind you, shut up and grind.
Yep, get it done.
Get it done. Get it done smartly. Get it done properly. Do it in a manner that benefits more than just yourself.
Yep. The last step in my process, it's grind, repeat, adapt. No, sorry. Grind, adapt, repeat.
Yep. Yeah.
That's the whole module for module 7.
Yeah, and it makes absolute sense when you think about it from the point of, this grind is grinding me rather than me grinding it. Yes. What do I need to change? All right, we adapt. We adapt. Yep. And then we make it adapt. If you remember, that's the old Japanese motto: adopt, adapt, and adapt.
Yep.
And as we do that as humans, our growth shows up. It just, you can't deny that the growth shows up. It just does. Because now everybody's looking at you going, but they're different. What's different about them? Well, they did exactly what Rob was teaching. Grind and adapt, grind and adapt, grind and adapt. Repeat.
That's it. Because you know you're going to get thrown curveballs.
All day.
And so
every day.
Another quick story. I brought the kids hiking up in New Hampshire.
Uh-huh.
And so as we're coming down the mountain, so I have twin boys who are 11. And one of them says to me, he's like, why do you make us do this? And so my response was, I said, do you want me to answer that? He said yes. I said, because in life, you're going to have to do things that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
That in life, you're going to be thrown mountains.
Yeah.
Now, you can't change the grade of the mountain, but I can change your ability to climb it.
Yep, that's right. And as your growth occurs, you as an individual, I'm not talking to our listeners.
Yeah.
The only way your legs get stronger is if you challenge them.
Yeah.
In fact, I just read it. I can't remember how it all went, but it was just remember that going up a mountain is the only way your legs can get stronger.
Yeah.
It's because there's resistance there and you're taking your ass up that hill.
Yep.
You know, throw a rucksack on if you want. Make it even tougher. Two of my trainees that I had when I was very young as a trainer were also twins, interestingly enough. They were supposed to go to the Marines, so I needed to get them through their pre-training. So they hired me to do their pre-training. And it was funny because at the time I was in really great shape, and literally challenged them to become more like an endurant. They were both track and fielders. So they could run, they could jump and all that stuff. But now they're having to do all this Marine stuff. And here I am blasting through that program with them. And they're looking at me going, how are you able to do all this? I'm like, because this is how I've always worked out. It wasn't about being on a bench and just benching 315 or 365 or what. I can't even remember what it was. It was about being able to do it for reps, not for one-time max.
Yes.
I mean, it's the idea is not to just be one-time strong. Especially if you're going to the Marines, you're going to get your ass kicked.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad was a Marine.
Yeah, and they were the one, I don't remember what base they went to basic, but it's the one that has the Grim Reaper, which is the very end run. And it's an incline. I can't remember what the grade is, but it's like almost 12% plus grade. You got to drag your butt plus 100-pound sack up that hill. That's your last challenge. One of them was a platoon leader. If any of his guys got left behind, he had to go down and pick them up and their sack and drag their ass up the hill. And he did.
My God.
And he did. He did. He came home after basically, he told me about that. And he goes, Mike, I'm so glad you taught us how to do all that stuff. I said, yeah, I didn't teach you how to do that though. That's a little bit more than I could have never thought that was going to happen. I don't know their training. He's like, yeah. Oh no, it helped. Cause I can tell you right now, if I hadn't trained, we'd have been sucking air. Badly. Yeah, I high respect for Marines. Their basic training's the shits, man. It's the shits. It's rough, but I know why they do it. Them, the SEALs, the Rangers, they're all the Green Berets. They're all nuts, and I love them for it. I love them for it because if they weren't in that great of shape, we'd be screwed. Anyway, cool. So I've had a lot of fun here. Yeah, and I'd like to do this again. Maybe share some more stories or share some other motivations or observations on things around what's going on, just so other people can pick up other golden nuggets. If that's cool, I'd love to have you back, man. Would that be okay?
No, absolutely.
All right, cool. So if you are looking for him, robertfoster.com. Remember
Robert B. Foster.
Robert B. Foster. Thank you. robertbfoster.com/speaker. Make sure and we'll have that down in the comments, obviously.
Okay.
And then, of course, your social links will be down there too. Make sure, guys, if you got any questions, hit them up in the comments. We're going to send him the link. So he's going to be able to come in and check on it. If you got questions, ask. He'll answer when he's available. And hell, if anything, just get over to his social and ask him there. Feel free to do that too. It's probably a little more effective, but don't be afraid to ask. Make sure you share this out with other people you think this is relevant to. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do and hit the bell next to it so you know when we get another awesome guest like this come on our little Chava chats. If you're listening on any of the podcast platforms, We just got onto a 13th platform just recently. I can't even remember the freaking name of it. I'm just thankful that we're there because it means we're getting out there. We are on Spotify, guys. So if you want to listen to us there, feel free. If you want to download, please download, subscribe. If you're listening to us on our home base, anchor.fm, you can support us there. You know, every little bit helps. We really thank you for stopping in, listening, taking a moment to get motivated, get inspired, get some education, whatever it is that you got out of this. Let us know. Give us a review. You can drop in a Podchaser as well. You know how we love to end this. We love every one of you. We thank every one of you for taking the time out of your day to listen to us, whether that's on the road, at home, at work, or play. Stay up, stay safe, stay healthy, and live. For Robert B. Foster and myself, Coffee with Mike. Ciao for now.
For more information on Java Chat, visit www.javachatpodcast.com. You've been listening to Coffee with Mike on Java Chat. Tune in weekly to this podcast for the next episode. You can also download or subscribe today on your favorite podcast platform. A production of Oasis Media Group, LLC. Located in Las Vegas, Nevada. Copyright 2019. All rights reserved.